Hey, welcome back to my workshop. Today I've got a review of the Makera Z1 that I got from Kickstarter. I got it in my hands about a month ago. I've been working on some projects with it, so I'm gonna just quickly give you a little bit of a review to tell you what I like about it, what I don't like, and what I think they need to improve to actually make this what they've set out to do. So the Makera team, the same ones that make the Carvera desktop CNC machines, it's the same group of people. This is supposed to be their, I guess their budget consumer hobbyist machine. It is much smaller than the other ones. I don't have the other machine, so I can't show you, but it is smaller than the other ones. I've got an unboxing that I'm gonna be showing here somewhere. So I've had it for about a month now. I've made a dozen or so projects, and first I'll just talk about the stuff that I do not like about it. So when I received this machine, the probe, like the actual little probe in here that you use to do all of the like leveling and everything like that, was defective. So I managed to get one part machined, and then it stopped working entirely, and I needed to contact them to get another one. Now, to their credit, they were very quick in answering, you know, my message, and they were very quick in answering it. So they answered it. They asked me to do a little bit of troubleshooting. Not an issue. I could do that. And then they sent out another piece within a day, and then it took 2 weeks to get here. Not a big deal, you know, they ship from China. This is just shipping out now to everyone around the world, so not too big of a worry. Another thing that I do not like about it is there is what's called the cyclone extractor. Now, this uses a lot of CNC machines will have like a vacuum hose setup or an air compressor hose setup. This just uses a fan at the top of the spindle to blow away any metal chips. Right, so as it goes along and cuts stuff, it'll just blow them away so it doesn't get clogged. There's like a cyclone extractor unit that they sell with this that is supposed to help clean up more of it. And I'll show you what I mean in just a minute by, it's supposed to help clean up a bit more of it, right? So the actual cyclone dust extractor works decently enough. It helps keep it a little bit cleaner, but it doesn't do a good enough job. So right now, this machine is clean. The only things that I actually did to clean it is I took a shop vac and I cleaned off the build plate here. Everything that you see back here is all stuff that was blown off of the build, or of the plate, while it was being machined. And it just stays there, right? This extractor here is supposed to help clean it up, and there is some stuff in it. I'll just show you. So right here, you can see, there is some stuff in it. This is the stuff that I've gotten after about, I don't know, 10 or so jobs. There's some resin flakes in there. There's some brass, there's some aluminum. But the issue with it is that it doesn't get it while you're running the machine. It gets some of it while you're running the machine, but not all of it. So in order to get all those chips from the machine into the actual dust extractor, I needed to pull off this little vacuum hose at the back here. So in order to get all those chips, I needed to pull off this little dust hose at the back here. So this is the, I guess the sucking hose, right? So this blows the air from the exhaust of the cyclone. It's supposed to go in, push it around, and then push the stuff into here so it can suck it up. You can also remove the hoses and then go with that way. Now, if you look right here at the back, this here connects to the exhaust. So right here, these little two hoses push it in and blow air in, and it blows it around the machine, intending to shove them into these little, I guess, holes in the back here so that it can get sucked up. It doesn't work very well. So I would have been better off just getting a regular shop vac. Well, I have a regular shop vac, but the reason I wanted it is because it turns on automatically when your machine turns on. You know, thought, okay, that'll be cool. It'll keep it all clean. It'll get everything out of there. It doesn't. There's aluminum stuck all over the machine. It doesn't do a good enough job of cleaning it. I don't know if the machine or the vacuum itself is just like underpowered or something, but it doesn't do a good enough job. So that is an issue that I have with there. The other issue is it's a little bit small, but that's okay. I can deal with that. And it uses lead screws. So they have two separate versions of this machine. There's the regular machine and the Pro version. So the regular machine uses NEMA 17 stepper motors, lead screws, and it's reliable enough. The Pro version uses closed loop NEMA 17 stepper motors, so it can tell when it's going past its voltage, or I don't exactly know, but it can tell when something's wrong with it, and then it can like shut it down immediately, right? And then it uses ball bearing screws. I don't know. It uses a different kind of screw. I don't remember exactly what it is. And apparently it just lets it be a little bit more reliable. Now, my issue here is that they've released both of these at almost the same time. So all of the Kickstarters backers who backed the original machine got theirs first, and then they sent out the Pros. I know that Makera has been making a lot of changes to their machines based on feedback that they've gotten. So we have some things that have come in because they've found that there are some mistakes when they ship. So for example, right here, I have a replacement for the 4-axis, I think this is just the stepper motor. I haven't installed it yet because I haven't used the 4-axis yet. But this is a replacement for it because they found that the original, I guess, will slip while you're using it, and then the stock can fall out and cause failed projects, might cause some damage. I don't know. But they are quite good at sending out like fixes for the things. But they will not be sending you the Pro kit. Apparently, what they've said is that you can order the Pro kit separately and upgrade your machine. They said that they did some redesigning to make it easy enough to upgrade. I have no idea how true that is. I haven't seen really any documentation or videos about how to upgrade the machine. It would be nice to know. It'd be nice to have that stuff public. The other thing about this machine that I dislike, not necessarily the machine, but the software. So Makera has created this machine as a sort of a CNC version of the Bamboo Labs 3D printers. So they want it to be an easy to get into, beginner-friendly system or ecosystem, right? So you've got the beginner-friendly machine with the quick release lever. You just pull it down, add it in the different bits, pull it up, press the button, and you're good to go. That works really well on the machine. What doesn't work really well is the software. Now the software is in beta, but the issue with it is that they're not really responsive on the Discord. So the Discord is full of people, telling them what their issues are, suggestions, bug fixes, like all that stuff. But they don't seem to actually respond to them with any sort of, not urgency, but any sort of regularity, right? So they'll answer here and there sometimes, and then some things that are huge issues will just get left unanswered. And we don't know if it's even been seen, if they're fixing it, if they're doing anything about it until the update comes out, and you might have a little line on the update saying this is fixed. The software is not easy to use. It's not intuitive. They advertise it as, easy for beginners to learn. You can do a whole bunch of things with it. It's supposed to be connected with their Makerables like platform so that you can just immediately download something and send it right to the machine and just get going. That doesn't work yet. I don't know if it will ever work, but as of right now recording this, it doesn't work. The Makerables website is, like their answer to the Maker World, right, where people can upload their projects and then you can download them. You still have to put them in the software. You still have to adjust all of the settings to make sure that it fits like the stock you've got, the bits you've got, because not everyone's going to have all the same things, right? Maker World, the reason it's so good is because there's the print profiles for the different variables, right? So you can have a print profile for different nozzle sizes, for different heights, for supports, without supports. It has all of those, and you just click, send it right to the machine. You won't be able to do that with this because everyone will have different bits. They'll have different collet sizes, they'll have different stock sizes. All of that will make it impossible, or at the very least, I think it'll be impossible for it to actually send it to a machine the way they do with Maker World. Is that a big deal? Not to me. I am fine with learning stuff. I've actually enjoyed learning how to make projects, and it's been fine. So what I tend to do is I've got a computer in my house that I do all of the work on, or I make the project, all of that. I do all the variables, I do the slicing, right? And then I send it to my NAS. And then from my NAS, I have a tablet that is connected to the machine with a USB cable. So I use this machine to actually run the program and run the project. Most people might not have the ability to do that. So the ability to send stuff from your Wi-Fi over to the machine is fantastic if it worked. The machine, I don't know what it is. When it first came out, the firmware on the machine didn't allow for wireless networks that had spaces or any sort of weird special character in it. So when I first got it, I connected it to the Wi-Fi. It didn't work. So then I created a new Wi-Fi network without spaces in it, just so I could connect the machine to the Wi-Fi and update the firmware. And on a machine that is still the firmware and the software is still very much in beta, that's super important because you need to be able to update it. And after I did that, I connected it to the Wi-Fi. I used the app on my phone to do that. It just didn't work. I couldn't update it. I couldn't do anything. So then I got my tablet, connected it to the machine, hooked it up, and then I was able to update the firmware. And then after the firmware was updated, they pushed an update that allowed you to connect to networks with spaces and special characters in them, which is great. So then I was able to connect to it from my computer. The problem with that is that this machine, or at least the firmware or the software, I don't know what it is, but it constantly loses connection to the network. So I could be connected to the network, and I have an extender in here. Like, this workshop is about 50 feet away from my house. I have an extender, a network extender in here so that it can still go. Like, it works fine. Everything else that I've gotten here, my printers, are all connected to the same network that this machine is supposed to be connected to. They don't have any issues with connecting, sending stuff wirelessly, monitoring it wirelessly, no issues whatsoever. This thing does constantly. It might go 1-2 days with no issues, connecting perfectly fine, and then I'll wake up the next morning, I'll try to send something to the machine, it just won't connect, not at all. So then I have to send it to the NAS, come out here to my workshop, turn on my tablet, connect to it, download it, send it to the machine, make it go. That's not an issue if they weren't advertising it as some sort of, as a comparison to, the Bamboo Labs printers. If they weren't advertising it as super easy and friendly with this Wi-Fi connectivity, I wouldn't have any issues with that. It's just the not deceptive marketing, but overly ambitious marketing that they've had for this machine that really bothers me. If they told the truth about it, I would still get this machine. I would still love it. Tell us, hey, this stuff is very much stuff that we want to have for the future, but this is where it is right now. And right now, in all their advertisements, the machine itself, perfectly fine, no issues with how this machine works. It's everything else surrounding it. So the software that they've put up as an answer to the Bamboo Lab Studio is just really janky. A lot of people on the Discord have had issues with it not working on AMD GPUs, right? So a full, third of the people who try to use this just can't use it because they have an AMD GPU. I have an AMD GPU, but mine works with it. So there doesn't even seem to be any rhyme or reason behind when it works and when it doesn't, because a lot of people with AMD GPUs, it just doesn't work. And it does with me. Why? I have no clue. It doesn't work with Linux. So there's no Linux version of the program, which, isn't a big deal because you can use it with like Proton or Wine compatibility layers. The issue is that if I do it with that, I can't connect to it with the USB. So I can't use, I have, this Surface is old, like it's really, really old. It barely runs the software required to make this thing even go. I wanted to use my Linux tablet because that thing is a lot more powerful. It doesn't work, so I can't connect to it via USB. The Wi-Fi is so inconsistent that I can't connect to it with that. And my Linux tablet, I specifically got so I could do stuff like this. I could do 3D, I could learn how to do some 3D modeling, all of that stuff. So the fact that I can't use it with this is a really big bummer. And I hope that eventually they will fix it, but I don't know. Makera's had a pretty good reputation so far for constantly updating and fixing things, but I can't say that this will happen. Like, sure, I would hope that they do. They've had a good history in the past, but who knows? They might just decide, no, it's not worth the time. We're just going to abandon it, and what you get is what you get. I hope that's not the issue. I hope that's not what they're doing. But who knows? What else am I don't know what else I'm going to say here, but I've gone on a rant about the software because that's the biggest thing to me, is they advertised it as beginner friendly, easy to learn, and their Makerables website, where you can take AI or you can take pictures of something and then use AI to turn it into a 3D model that you can then send to this machine. I don't have any issues with that, but it doesn't work well. So if you have something that's like really simple, like a picture of a dog, it can turn that picture into a general 3D relief most of the time. Sometimes it will mess up really, really badly. And for some godforsaken reason that I do not understand, they allow you to make a text prompt to get a 3D model to put on this machine. These text prompts are so incredibly bad that they just cannot be used. I don't like AI. I think it has a purpose. I think there are some aspects in which AI can be useful, and for beginners who don't have the ability to 3D model and things like that, the idea of turning a picture into a 3D object that you can like use, like say you're wanting to print like a picture, or you're wanting to make like a picture frame or a wooden or plastic relief of an animal and use it as some sort of like memory, that I think is fantastic. I love that idea. But the idea of taking a 3D, like a word prompt and turning it into a functional 3D image that you can use, I don't know if that'll ever work. So I played around with it for a while. I gave it some prompts. Every single time, I gave it a super simple prompt to give me a 10 centimeter by 10 centimeter cube. It gave me a cube, but it was like 7 point something millimeters. It's not even centimeters. Like, these were clear directions that it should be able to follow, and it just wasn't able to. I gave it other things, like I have a Dread Green, a Dread inspired cosplay that I'm working on. I wanted to make the badge, and just for fun, I had a file of it, like an actual file that I was already going to use, but just for fun, I wanted to make a prompt and see what it would give me. It just gave me a generic action figure, like a 3-dimensional action figure that had nothing to do with Dread or Red Green or anything like that. It was just a generic 3-dimensional figure. No matter how many times I tried this prompt to do just the badge, it just couldn't do it. So the Makerables website is, I think, fine for pictures, but everything else is just entirely pointless. Whether or not they can fix that, I don't know. Should they fix it? Probably not. I don't think there's any world where these large language models that they're using get advanced enough to turn a word prompt into a functional, like, like a functional 3D model that you can use? I just don't think so. So these were two things that I created using the image generation. So I had an image of like a challenge coin. I turned it into a 3D model. It worked perfectly fine for almost everything, except for some reason right here at the bottom, it just cut it off. I don't know why. Those are really weird. And then I also created this one. Again, 3D image, no issues whatsoever. The image generation to turn it into a model works perfectly fine. So I like that. I like that concept. I like how that works. That's good. In fact, the first project you make, the first project that they recommend is one of the brackets for the machine. So it looks pretty nice, pretty smooth. Oh, you can't see anything. So I made a bracket for the machine. So it looks pretty nice, pretty smooth. I can use it on the machine itself. You know, no issues here whatsoever. It's a nice little file. The machine works. My issues with it, with this machine, have nothing to do with the actual machine and everything to do with the software. So now that I've gone over what I don't like about the software, there are some things I do like, right? So it's not all negative. So before they update it, you could just take any STL and use it in the software. It would give you recommended like tool paths. It would do the generation for you automatically. It would give you recommended like tools to use. That I thought was fantastic. I 3D print a lot, and there's a lot of parts that I could use made out of metal, right? So taking those parts, turning them into a metal machine by using the STL, fantastic. I loved it. They've updated the program. You can't do that anymore with STLs. Now you can only do it with step files. Most 3D prints files don't come as step files, they come as STLs. So that adds another step that I need to do to my process of turning something into a part that's machined. I don't like it. I don't know why they went that way. The program itself seemed to work fine for the generating the paths and recommending the tools. But now that it's swapped and I can't do that anymore, it doesn't auto-generate the paths anymore with an STL file. It only does it with step files. And I don't know why they made that choice. So not only, you can't use this thing on Linux, it doesn't work well. You can't use it over Wi-Fi because that doesn't work well. And now the one main thing that I thought was beginner friendly, using STL files, it doesn't work anymore. So I don't know what they're doing with this software. It just bugs me because they advertise it, again, as a super beginner-friendly thing. And then they stripped away the one thing that made it super beginner-friendly. Because most people have access to STLs. They can go to printables, they can go to MakerWorld, they can go to Thingiverse and get STL files. Tens of thousands, if not millions of STL files of things people have already done, and turn it into a functional metal, wooden, whatever, what have you part. But now they're adding just another step. You have to take the STL file, convert it into a step file, hope that it converts it properly, because a lot of times step files do not convert properly when you just take an STL. And then after that it happens, then they can import it into the program. And I don't understand why they did this. I hope that they'll just go right back to the STL version, like where you can just use it in. That I think works perfectly fine. That was great. So I hope they'll go back to that. Now, I've talked a lot about the things that I don't like about the machine. I want you to take all of that into consideration when I tell you that I still love this thing. I paid for this out of my own money. I wanted a CNC machine for a really long time, and I just couldn't afford any of the other ones, right? Like the Carvera Air is 2 to 3 times the price of this thing. The regular Carvera with the auto tool changing is around 4 times the price of this thing. Sure, they're bigger, they have more features, but they're just so expensive. Shitty just printed extrusion rail CNC machines cost about the same as this thing, and they have fewer features. So I was really excited to see this. And I do still really enjoy it. I do really like this machine. all of the issues that I have with the software, they can be fixed, and I hope they will be fixed either through Makera themselves or through community, either firmware or software. I have hope for it. Like maybe they'll release open source so that you can, you know, have an open source firmware and everything too. I don't know, that might be asking for a little bit too much, but it would be really cool if they did. And even with all of those downsides, I still really like this machine, right? It's got a nice enclosure to it, right? A nice protective screen. You can use a laser engraver on here if you want. The quick release system is fantastic just to quickly like swap out bits and call it's like everything. You can just quickly do it, right? It takes 5 seconds, right? Boom, done. It's super nice. I really like it. They've obviously put a lot of care into this machine. It's super rigid. Opening up the back panel to access like the boards and everything in case anything breaks is super easy, right? Like I had to do that when my print was defective. I had to follow some troubleshooting steps, so I had to open up the back of it to look at it and make sure that, you know, it wasn't an issue with the board. They put a lot of care into this machine, into making it beginner and consumer friendly, and I think also repairable. Like I don't know how repairable the railings are, but it looks like they're just screwed in. So if something warps, I should, in theory, just be able to unscrew it and replace it. And I appreciate that. Like there's in this world where everything is made impossible to repair, I really love stuff that encourages you to repair it. Like it's fantastic. And with the first project being one of the clamps that you can print on it, you can break clamps and then just make new ones. They encourage you to do that, right? Like you have the ability with this machine to do this. So it opens up a whole new world of machining metal parts. Like I'm an amateur blacksmith. I'm a 3D printer. I'm a cosplay maker. I'm an amateur woodworker. Like I do all of these things and I can see a use for this machine in almost everything I do. The thing that's holding me back is my experience with CNC machines. And I've broken multiple bits on this thing already. I think 5 or 6 bits I've already broken because I didn't check a parameter. I chose the wrong material, what have you. Like I broke a bunch, but they're fairly cheap. Like I got this 10-pack of just flat end bits, like end mills for this thing for, I think it was like 30 bucks Canadian. So they're pretty cheap to replace, which, you know, that's a good thing. I would still buy this machine. I'm really enjoying it. The software issues notwithstanding, the Wi-Fi issues notwithstanding, the firmware issues notwithstanding, I really like this machine. And I hope that if anyone from Makera sees this, if anyone looks at this review, that they see this and go, this is where we need to improve, because the machine itself is solid. The spindle is solid. The plate, everything about it is solid. The only thing that's an issue is the firmware and the software. And I think they have maybe a small development team working on the software. Put more money into it. Get more people working on this software. Make it better. Like I can see a world where the software gets to a point where you choose a file, whether it's an STL file, a step file, a CAD file, like what have you. I can see a world where you take any one of those files, upload it into the software, and it'll just give you all of these possible options for what you can do with it, how long it'll take, because that's another issue that I've got with the software as well, is you don't know how long it takes until you send it to the machine. There's no like preview of how many hours it will take until you send it. If there is, I haven't seen it. And if it's not immediately obvious, I won't know, right? So there needs to be some really, really good work done on this software. And then once that software is done, like once it's up to snuff with this machine, then you'll have that beginner-friendly, consumer-friendly experience. But right now, it's not there. And I am a beginner. I got this machine not solely because of the promises that they made, but inspired and influenced heavily by those promises that they made. I went into it knowing that they might not deliver on all those promises, but that there would still be a solid machine, and I was okay with that. But it still really bugs me that they made all this marketing. The Kickstarter showed off how easy it was. Their live streams just show off how easy it is to do everything. And it's just not. Like, they're all experts. They didn't get beginners to do any of this stuff. Even a lot of the reviews that I've seen of the Z1 on YouTube aren't of beginners. They're of people who already have CNC machines, already have CAD experience trying to do all this stuff. I am a beginner. This is my first CNC machine. This is my first time trying to do CAD stuff. And it is not easy. It's not intuitive. It is difficult. Now, I've been rambling on about this for about a half hour, so I'm going to wrap it up. In conclusion, the machine is solid. It's fantastic. I have very few complaints about the machine. It's all due to the Cyclone dust extractor. I think that that thing under-delivers what it was promised to do, and I don't know what they can do about it, but it's just not good. If I could go back in time, that would be the only thing I wouldn't add on to this. I would just leave it out and just use my shop vac, because I have to use my shop vac anyways to clean out all of the chips. But the machine, fantastic. The software, a hot mess. Like, the software is awful. So Makera, if you are watching this, please, please, please give money to the software side of this. The machine is great, but the software is suffering, and I'm not the only one that thinks so. The Discord is full of people who have been beta testing this software for a month to 2 months, sometimes even longer. And almost every single one is negative. Like, there are people who have no issues with it, but they are the overwhelming minority. Like, every day I scroll through that Discord to look at what people are talking about, and every single day it's new issues with the software, things that they can't figure out, things that are breaking, crashes, freezes, incorrect paths that the software has given them. It's not in a state where you should be giving this to people. Like, you should not be advertising it as a selling point for this machine. Go back to the drawing board, fix the software, and then you'll have a truly beginner experience. But that's all I've got for today. It's a little bit of a different video. I'm not working on anything, but like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to see me doing more stuff like this, then please just keep following along, because I upload twice a month and I'm constantly trying new things. So thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.